Please hang up and try again.
Freak Radio Network, broadcasting from the Lucas Oil Studios. Driven by General Tire. It's Speed Freaks. Motorsports Radio redefined with Kenny Sargent.
We love to party.
Crash Gladys.
What are we doing for the bachelorette party?
And Statman.
I am serious.
You know, Freak Nation, I don't know about you. You've got IndyCar and, of course, NASCAR Cup Series, two of the most beautiful tracks on the planet. Yet we're stuck in a studio where it's 111 degrees in the desert. How are you doing here in the Lucas Oil Studios? Stat man with the show off. You deserve a little PTO. It's PTO, right? Personal time off? Paid time off? Well, that's personal time off.
Paid time off.
Is it really?
Yes. Time off can be personal regardless. So this is paid. So you, boss man, you are paying him.
Am I paying?
Right now.
Am I paying Stat?
Yes.
Need to get to the bottom of this, man. I thought it's personal time off. Really? So all this time? Yes, it is.
Seriously thought it was time off is personal anyway.
Richie,
you're
what did
either
you...
sick or you're on vacation or you just decide to skip work.
The millennial take here is I thought it meant personal time off. I'm with Kenny on this one.
Nope, it's paid, and you're paying Statman.
You learn something new every day. Freak Nation.
We do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Freak Nation, within this show, you're going to hear from Denny Hamlin. You're going to hear from the NASCAR Truck Series winner from Worldwide Technology Raceway, Corey Heim. The connection between Corey Heim and Denny Hamlin, we're going to get to that. One of the greatest drivers in all of motorsports, Petter Solberg. He's going to be joining us in the second hour. He is back in a rally car. Yep. And he's going to be joining us here in the Freak Nation. He was also very good friends with Ken Block. We'll talk a little bit about that. So Petter Solberg will be here in the Freak Nation.
Carlos Sainz. I mean, you name a guy that that hasn't crossed paths with Petter Solberg somewhere in the motorsports landscape. You can't. Everyone knows Petter Solberg.
Yeah, World Rally
Champion. He's an incredible guy, and he's an amazing talent.
One of the best rally drivers ever on the planet. He'll be here. And Crasher brought up Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz goes out and wins at 60 years old a stage, Crasher, in Dakar.
Dakar, yes.
Right? And that was a little inspiration for a 50-year-old World Rally Championship driver in Petter Solberg. So, yeah, going to talk to him about a number of things. And with our 24th year coming about the 25th of June, we're going to flashback every weekend for one segment at least. And we figure with Tony Stewart making a whole lot of noise and news over the last week and a half, with him closing the doors to Stewart-Haas Racing, the NASCAR Cup Series, we're going to go back 19 years when Tony Stewart visited the Freak Nation in Sedalia, Missouri. Yep.
But how that conversation 19 years ago is very relevant now.
When it comes to the broadcast partners. Great point, Crash. So that's where we're rolling for the next couple of hours. Again, thank you guys for being a part of this big old thing. You could follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're there for you, Official Speed Freaks on YouTube. And, of course, right here on MAV TV every Monday, 12 o'clock Eastern and Pacific. Again, on MAV TV. So much news going on off the track. Silly season. It's season silly. It's silly A season. Some drama going on within the walls of IndyCar series. Plenty of drama there. Silly season, I always think it starts early. But no, it typically starts right around the end of May, first of the summer. But with Denny Hamlin allegedly looking into buying one of these charters from Stewart-Haas Racing, that, of course, is out there.
I don't think that's allegedly anymore. He will have 3 cars next year, but it's now who will fill the seat. And there's a lot of people leaning towards one guy who's been mentioned for months, but Bob Pockrass like to put another name in that hat.
And we'll share that with you, Freak Nation. But the whole charter system, Denny Hamlin, great podcast with Dirty Mo Media. If you watch his podcast, you know what I'm talking about. You can tell when Denny Hamlin gets serious. he has this look, and there's some pauses in his commentary. And coming up next segment, we're going to play it. We're going to do it next segment. Yeah, next segment, we're going to play some of this interview or some of this podcast where Denny Hamlin's talking about these charters. And according to Denny Hamlin, what he says in this soundbite, don't believe everything that you're hearing coming out of NASCAR about how close they are and how it's a better presentation, how they've seceded some of the items that, no, it's not there yet. So the silly season with charters and where this charter system is going to be at the end of the year, we're sitting here middle part of June, and maybe November, by the time Phoenix rolls around with the Cup Series, there may be some movement.
Maybe.
But the way it looks now, Crasher, Suave, this may get pretty freaking ugly before it looks even better than it looks better than it is now.
Hasn't it already become a little bit ugly? Maybe just it's become ugly in its own way. It's not nasty yet, but both sides are kind of pointing fingers at the other saying, that's not what we discussed, or no, you've never brought that up to me before. So yes, it's ugly enough right now, but is it going to get worse? If they don't start actually communicating with each other, then yes, without question.
Suave, you're the residential millennial that we have here in the Freak Nation.
That's true.
And if Twitter or X was a girlfriend, they would be, or a girl, they'd be your girlfriend, because you spend more time with Twitter and X than most people I know.
That's so true. Yes.
What's the overall opinion that you're seeing on Twitter or X?
Yeah, people love silly season, man. I feel like this year more so than in previous years, it is like ramped up to 11, and not just in NASCAR, but also in Formula One as well. Right, it got off to an early start with Lewis Hamilton on February 1st. On my birthday, I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning for no reason and see that Lewis Hamilton is going to Ferrari in 2025, and then from there it's just gotten more insane. And half the grid is still has still not been filled out for 2025. The most recent card to drop for 2025 and beyond is Sergio Checo Perez is staying with Red Bull through 2026. So Formula One is crazy, and then you got NASCAR on top of that with 4 charters being up for grabs, and it's going to be those are going to go for, I can't even imagine how much those are going to go for. Right, the last ones to be sold, I believe, were prior to 2023, and they sold for $40 million. Right.
Yep.
So can you imagine how much those 4 charters are going to go for and how in demand they are going to be, especially with the speculation now that in this new charter system that NASCAR is negotiating with its teams, there's allegedly going to be a cap on charters that you can have, and I believe it's going to be 4. So I wonder what that's going to do to where these charters are going to go. We know Front Row Motorsports has already put their name out there as wanting to get one. They've said that publicly. So, and those 4 drivers are going to be fighting for jobs elsewhere. It's like, I love this stuff, man. It's so cool. It's like it's speculation galore, and you can go on Reddit. You can go on any motorsports website. You can go on TikTok, and that's all you see every day. There's another new update, and where a driver is going to go, where a charter is going to go, who's going to go where in Formula One. I love it, man. I love it. It's so much fun.
So if 4 becomes the actual magic number that no team can have more than 4 charters, and if Denny Hamlin truly sees that will become the number, what are the possibilities of him jumping for 2 of these Stewart-Haas charters out of the gate?
One thing that, and this is a great tease, Denny Hamlin will somehow answer that when it comes to the finances with affording a NASCAR Cup Series team. He'll be joining us next segment to talk about this charter system. And again, to refresh those, sometimes we get locked up in our own bubble here, and some of you are watching, what the hell's the charter system? It's basically where NASCAR and the team owners are wanting to establish something very similar to the National Football League, where you have Jerry Jones, owner of the Cowboys, or Michael Bidwell, the owner of the Cardinals, where they have a vested interest in that team. They own that team, and that's what the NASCAR team owners want to establish with these charters, to where when they sell, i.e. Tony Stewart, Stewart-Haas Racing, if this $40 million figure holds, there's $120 million for, right? He's got 3 Cup teams, right?
Yes.
3 Cup teams. There's $120 million.
It provides an almost guaranteed value,
right,
which makes selling, if you're just not able to continue a racing position. it just makes it so much more worth it. Whereas just a few years ago, you couldn't do that. So yes, this is worth it. This is why IndyCar owners are, and Roger Penske, they're trying to establish something very similar.
Right.
Put better value back into these series. And again, yes, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is the NFL, and they've established and shown that this is extremely possible.
And the team owners, from what we hear, and frankly, a couple of team owners that we saw at Worldwide Technology Raceway last weekend, Denny Hamlin being one of them, they're just not happy where they are at this point. And we're not going to spend a full hour talking about these freaking charters, but it's a big dang deal because, as Denny Hamlin will share with us coming up next segment, the finances of running a team. If Denny Hamlin and Michael freaking Jordan, still one of the most popular sports stars on the planet, if they can't afford, meaning if they're losing money on their NASCAR Cup teams, what do you think other teams are doing?
Yeah. What's wrong with the entire system?
Right?
Yeah.
So, coming up next, Denny Hamlin will be joining us here in the Freak Nation talking about this charter system. Also, Corey Heim, NASCAR Truck Series winner from Worldwide Technology Raceway, who's been associated with Denny Hamlin. He'll be joining us this hour. Also coming up, Petter Solberg. And from 2005, Tony Stewart, a Freak Flashback, as we get set for our 24th year of doing Speed Freaks on the Freak Radio Network and right here on MAV TV.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined. You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Freak Nation, it's getting hot out there. Make sure you're rolling on a new set of General Tires. Go to GeneralTire.com to check out the line of tires to keep your truck, your passenger car, your minivan nice and smooth and happy on the road this summer. Go to GeneralTire.com. It's GeneralTire.com to find the tire for your righteous ride.
Are you still mad that I did not want a minivan for our family? You were all about minivans. And you covering drag boats as frequently as you have over the last 15 years for MAV TV, by the way.
20 years.
Okay. Excuse me.
Yep.
You would frequently get a minivan rental van.
Yep.
And there were a couple times that we cruised around in that thing, and you were all about it. I just could not believe that here is this dad that wants a minivan, and his wife, mom, was never about it. That doesn't seem to fit your personality, Mr. Minivan.
It's like a mini RV. I mean, I could put the thing on cruise control, set the steering straight, and go back there and make me a ham sandwich. I don't do that. I'm joking. I don't do that.
But you could.
I'm not as fascinated.
If it was a Waymo minivan.
If we were blasting out 3 or 4 kids, absolutely. But now when I go, like when I head out of town and I'm renting cars, I go for a big fat freaking truck, or if they have a Dodge Challenger or Charger hopped up, I'm jumping in that damn thing. So yeah, I'm not all jacked up about a freaking minivan.
Your minivan phase is closed.
I wouldn't. If we go on a big ass road trip and we're going to rent a car with you, me, my daughter, and a crap ton of luggage, minivan might be on the horizon. Yeah.
Are we doing Laguna Seca? Because if so,
let's just crash
that could be minivan.
People are turning off their TV sets and logging off of YouTube right now.
In the family business on television.
And the radio network, they're turning off the radios, man, going, why in the hell are you guys talking about this?
Because every family has gone through a minivan phase. Every family. We had big vans when I was growing up. That was a long time ago, but we loved our big van, big ass bucket seats in the middle.
Van.
We did.
Yeah, you had a good time.
Bucket
Why are we
seats in the
talking
middle,
about this?
couch in the back. Vans are fun. When the minivans came in, I was more about the good times and less about the mini.
Listen, some dude pulls up in front of my house, or my daughter's 16, 17 years old in a freaking minivan. I say, nope, you take that SOB home and you go get yourself a freaking 2-seater. You're not hopping in that minivan, girlfriend.
Girlfriend, boyfriend, what?
Says the guy who picked up his prom date his senior year in a freaking RV.
What? You are your own worst enemy.
Oh.
You're going to be the worst to her boyfriends.
Yes, I am.
Wow.
All right, Freak Nation. Now let's get back into regularly scheduled programming. As we mentioned last segment, Denny Hamlin has a great podcast with Dirty Mo Media, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s conglomerate. And we listen to it quite a bit, watch it quite a bit. There's some great sound bites that come out of it. And here's about 90 seconds of Denny Hamlin talking about charters. And listen closely to what he says here. And we'll pontificate on really where we think Denny Hamlin's going with these charters and ownership. Denny Hamlin here, the Freak Nation from Dirty Mo Media.
2311 interested in one of these 4 charters?
2311 is interested in getting a charter deal done. On January 1st, 2025, we don't even have a charter. You can't buy or sell something that doesn't exist in our eyes. So we have 2 charters till the end of this year, and until we get a charter agreement done, that's all we have. I didn't build that facility to stay a 2-car team, but it always has to make financial sense. I'm not going to put myself in a position to where, I'm having to shell out millions and millions of dollars every year to just keep this thing going. I'm not going to do that. I will not do that personally. So it has to make financial sense, and the charter agreement needs to be better than what it is, certainly before I invest any more money in it.
Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
I don't know. I mean, not from what I've seen. We got something back last week, but I didn't see anything there that was much different than what we saw in December.
That's from earlier this week, Crasher.
Wow. So he says it needs to make better financial sense before he considers another charter. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that as of right now, no way he's even considering 2 of those charters. Holy crap.
Well, Denny's business
He might not even pick up a single other one. The way he's talking right there, he might not even go for a third, even though we've been talking about him getting that third for a while now.
Suave, what's your take from Denny Hamlin and the whole charter system mess?
You remember back about a month and a half ago when he first opened up about these negotiations for the first time, and he talked about some of the things that they were wanting in these negotiations, and there were a couple things that kind of caught my eye from that, and he mentioned it again there. One of which was making these charters permanent. That's the big one. I think that's kind of his big holdout at the moment. And then number 2, he talked about, and we mentioned this back in the first segment of the show as well, which is like none of these race teams are making money. And the revenue split between NASCAR, between the tracks and the team ownership just is not going to work. It's not sustainable, right? So the way Denny's talking right there, we're 6 months out from these things expiring. That's not good, man.
No, it's not.
Like we're headed to the point, I mentioned this once in a while, we're headed to the point where I really do think it's possible that we might see these teams and drivers go on strike to start the next season. That's it. To me, that's the only way in any labor negotiations you have any leverage. Because right now, NASCAR has all the leverage with all these ownerships because they know that those teams and drivers are going to show up at Daytona in February.
Because they have to, because there's no other way to get around the business model that they have sponsors invested in and their own personal finances invested in. You're exactly right.
It could be a perfect storm given where these network negotiations are going and headed and the amount of money, Crasher.
Well, the network negotiations in NASCAR are done.
Yeah,
in IndyCar, they're not done yet, but in NASCAR, they're done.
Finish, meaning they've got these contracts done. These drivers go on strike. They owe Fox and NBC.
Who owes?
NASCAR does.
Okay.
They
not
owe
the
them.
teams.
No.
Okay.
Back up a second. Their feet are going to be held close to the fire. And we know that. That's going to happen. NASCAR owes NBC and Fox. It'll be Fox, kicking off the season next year. Are going to owe them broadcasts, going to owe them live races.
Okay.
So they've got that leverage. That leverage to pull. Also, just like the Major League Baseball owners and the strikes that have happened there, they don't want anyone to see their books. They don't want to see any kind. They don't want them to get anywhere close to see what kind of cake these guys were making. Not at all.
Even though Denny Hamlin, speaking of, has been one of the only owners to verbally say the percentages, 80% of the money that comes in from TV and track revenue goes back to NASCAR and the tracks that NASCAR owns, if not more. I'm throwing 80% out there. I don't have the figures in front of me. If not more, and the teams putting everything out on the line they get hardly anything of that. Maybe 10%, maybe 15%.
Listen, I'm a bit skeptical when they talk about they continue to lose money. I don't know about
teams.
The teams.
Money.
If I'm losing money, then I'm a dumb business owner. I'm not a smart business owner. I make ends meet as the owner of SpeedFreaks. I know what my limits are. I can't go out and hire 3 or 4 other hosts because I couldn't pay them. I'd be losing money.
Okay, but if you've got these drivers and sponsor contracts at the beginning of the year and they all insist or they all state that you have to run every single race, you get down 3/4 of the way through the season, you're not performing as well as you would have expected to, and you're not making the money back from NASCAR that you would have expected to. Yeah, you're losing money. It is possible to lose money.
Well, Denny, if you go back and listen to that comment, he says losing again. It might be part. It's probably part hyperbole. I get that. Millions and millions and millions. Michael Jordan's not going to be losing millions and millions of dollars. I don't believe it. And part of the business acumen that Denny's talked about, him learning, was from Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
There's somewhere in the middle here, man.
Well, we know Joe Gibbs Racing was suffering with bringing in sponsorships that were able to help actually pay the bills.
Yeah, how'd that FedEx work out? We talked about that a year and a half ago.
Yep.
We knew FedEx wasn't coming back full time.
And then, of course, with Stewart Haas now, there's a lot of things that factor into the Stewart Haas decision to close up shop, way beyond money coming in or out.
Knew that was happening last year.
Okay, yay. Kenny Sargent knows everything.
Just don't want to burn any bridges right about now. All right, Freak Nation. Coming up next, Corey Heim, Worldwide Technology Raceway NASCAR Truck Series winner. He joins us next. And the connection between Denny Hamlin and Corey Heim and another driver that we'll share with you. It's all coming up. SpeedFreaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios right here on MAV TV.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined. You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Freak Nation, we've been saying it for almost 24 years. Lucas Oil is your go-to for all things automotive. Inside your engine, outside your car, inside your car. They have a line of products to keep your hot rods, your boats. What about your hunting weapons? They've got that too. You go to lucasoil.com. That's lucasoil.com and find a product. Keep all of your items. Again, 2 wheels, they got it. Marine products, bang. Lucas Oil. That's lucasoil.com. I caught up with Corey Heim. Dude was a madman in the ARCA series running on those General tires. He's going to be a hell of a driver once he hops up into the Cup series. A hell of a driver right now in the NASCAR Truck Series. I caught up with him after his race win. And about 2 hours after, Denny Hamlin talked about Corey Heim maybe taking over one of 2311's rides. I don't know. It's Corey Heim now here in SpeedFreaks Pits, Lucas Oil Studios. Allegedly, that is not $50,000. And that's coming from a dude that just won $50,000. Are you one of those cats, Corey Heim, of course, the winner of the NASCAR truck race here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, that when you win money, do you double check it first that it's all there?
Typically, it's not in cash, so I don't really need to. But this is one of those rare instances where, yes, you probably have to check it twice or 3 times, and it's a pretty obvious tell that it's not real, but it's a really cool trophy, and I do get paid even if it's not in real cash. So at the end of the day, I'm glad to be here. Thankful to win the Toyota 200 today at Gateway, and I was out of this race with illness last year, to come back here and redeem myself is really cool. So just grateful to be here and grateful to be a part of it.
You came in here and you said this yourself with a truck that you didn't expect to win with, but holy smokes, you won this bloody race. Was it more you, the crew, that helped push this thing across?
Yeah, I think you got to give this one to the crew. I mean, those guys really redeemed themselves from Charlotte. You know, we struggled a little bit on pit road last week, and going to JGR and practicing pit stops with those guys and making sure they're good to go for this race, which is a very track position dependent race, as you saw. You know, making sure they're good to go and ready, and they really made a lot of progress during the week. So clearly it paid off, and they did a great job.
You were talking about a little frustration when you have lap trucks going side by side and you're pounding the wheel. Really? You're pounding the wheel going, get that. What are you saying? Are you talking to your crew chief? What are you doing?
I mean, I'm talking to myself, trying to calm myself down. I mean, when lap trucks are literally side by side blocking you, it's pretty frustrating for sure. So that was a rough deal, but worked out for us. We were able to pit, and he listened to me, and props to those guys for being ready.
When do you find out that you have a truck to win? Even though coming into here, you weren't that comfortable with it. What part of the race thinking, we may have this thing?
Yeah, I feel like over the years in trucks, I've adapted a really good feel for these things. And when you go at the first lap of practice, you kind of know what you got. So I knew yesterday we weren't quite there, and we went to work on it overnight and brought back a better truck today. So very minimal adjustments you're allowed to do, and we were able to move some stuff around and you know, just come back and win the race. So props to those guys for working hard overnight, and yeah, just a good day for us.
You qualified on Friday. You come out here on a fairly green track from the rain. Much difference for you in the race versus qualifying?
Yeah, we actually qualified in practice on a green racetrack as well, so it almost like reset the track. A lot of people ask the same thing, don't worry. But yeah, we if the Cup cars had kept the rubber down and it hadn't rained, I feel like it would have definitely thrown a lot of people for a loop. But I guess, you know, it worked out for us, so I'm glad it rained and kind of reset the track and got us closer to practice, because that's what we built off of last night from the practice session we had. So yeah, certainly benefited us, I'd say.
We were standing in the same area a few hours ago when Denny Hamlin was sitting right here, and they asked Denny Hamlin about the charter and getting a new team, and your name came up as maybe a driver to work with Denny Hamlin.
I certainly think he's wise, way beyond his age for sure. To be just 21 years old, it's amazing when you watch him race, and so he certainly has a bright future in our sport in the long term, and think that I certainly am very high on him and his talent level, and yeah, he's great. I think that that's why we want to put him in. I think there's a connection with Mobile there anyway in the truck series, so it was important for us for that 50th anniversary to put Corey in there and give him a shot.
Has there been any discussion about that?
Yeah, I think for now I'm just focused on a week-to-week basis with my Truck On Garage team, and just focus on winning races, and that's what I came here to do and build a statement. So focus on actually an off week next weekend for once, and going to focus on Iowa after that.
Corey Heim's been coming to the Freak Nation for many, many years, and I expected an answer like that. I know the ultimate goal is to get up to Cup, but what you're learning from the ARCA series to the Truck series, how far advanced are you from moving from ARCA to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about reps. I think that's the name of the game, is just getting seat time and reps. And with a limited amount of practice you get nowadays in trucks and really anything you drive in NASCAR-related things, it's definitely tough to get reps. And the more I race, the better I get. And in this race, I've had no shortage of seat time. So I feel like I've been getting a lot of reps this year and getting a lot better.
Do you have any Air Jordans?
I do, actually. I do. They're very nice.
That, of course, is Corey Heim here in the Freak Nation, sitting number 2 in points in the NASCAR Truck Series. And there's already the connection between Denny Hamlin and Corey Heim, where Corey Heim, a little one-off deal in the NASCAR Cup Series, will be running a Cup car in Nashville with 2311. And speculation, again, that Corey Heim may be the one to fill that slot. But, Crasher, you're actually hearing something else, that there's another driver that might jump in a possible 2311 Cup car next year.
Yes. And if we go back to the beginning of the show, where Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan fork out a crap ton of money and pick up 2 charters by January 1st, 2025, then maybe both of these guys will be in seats for 2311. But I digress. It's, yes, Monster Energy related. Why not? Tyler Reddick already has the partial sponsorship with 2311 and Monster Energy. So why not Riley Herbst? Riley Herbst has a huge relationship with Monster Energy. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Oh, and then that brings more money to help pay for that charter that was just purchased.
And I don't need to get into the minutia of this, but Riley Herbst, terrible Herbst. If you've been to Vegas, you know the Herbst family. You know the gas stations. You know the convenience stores. You know that last name is synonymous with off-road racing. The relationship that the Herbst family and those convenience stores and stores have with millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Enough millions for a charter?
There's a whole lot of money exchanged between Herbst and Monster Energy drinks. That, again, I don't know the specific. I know some of the details, but I don't want to get too deep into it. That there is a hell of a connection there. It's a different connection that Tyler Reddick has with Monster. The last name of Herbst and his family, the tie-in that they have with Monster is significant.
It's big, yeah.
Richie, I don't see you reaching for a Monster anymore. You're usually going for the healthier, gut-wrenching grub.
Not saying that Monster Energy is unhealthy completely, Kenny.
I didn't say that, did I?
No.
Wow. Well, okay, Celsius. Celsius is freaking everywhere.
Yes.
And they play them off like they're the panacea for youth.
No sugar.
Youth.
Youth and fitness.
Youth and fitness. I don't think I've ever used panacea in 23 years on SpeedFreaks.
I don't think you have either. No.
I used minutia, panacea, and something else in the last segment. It's kind of blowing me away. Look,
such a smart man.
When the smartest individual stat man's taking the show off, somebody's got to drop some mad words out there that half of us don't understand.
Nice job, Ken. You are Knuff.
So Corey Heim, Riley Herbst possibly taking over a cup ride for 2311. That's out there.
But it all comes down to the charter money. How much is it going to cost? Is NASCAR going to be better at sharing the wealth with the teams? And will that dictate whether or not Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin purchase 1 or 2 or 0 charters from Stewart-Haas Racing?
In our business, and I say our business, in the radio, TV, multimedia business that we do, I sure would love to have sponsors and partners wrapped up by the summer. Doesn't happen.
No.
And no fault to our partners, but usually we'll have an idea mid-fall. But motorsports teams, in particular NASCAR teams, are already wrapping up their partnerships or trying to. Look at Todd Gilliland with Front Row Motorsports. They signed him last week to a 3-year deal the 1st of June. They didn't wait till August or October. They signed him to that 3 years. So that tells me they've got money allocated to pay Todd Gilliland. I mean, Todd Gilliland isn't Kyle Larson money. I get that. But still, and Todd Gilliland, yes, are you kidding me? Locked me up for 3 years. Starting to set some things on fire right now in a good way. So light me up, man. Let's do this.
Now we're back into the silly season conversation. And how so many drivers, there's a lot going on the IndyCar side of things too. Who will be Pato O'Ward's teammate next year?
Speaking of, we will get to that.
Okay.
There's some not so friendly news coming out of the IndyCar pits. Has everything to do with a driver and a country. We'll explain. Also, NBC, Fox vying for the IndyCar broadcast next year. You think that would be wrapped up already? Nope, it's not.
Well, Mark Miles said that it would be by the Indy 500.
Nope. More Freaks coming up. SpeedFreaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined. You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Hey, Freak Nation, coming up in the second hour. On a whim, 3 years ago, maybe, I got an email from Petter Solberg's PR person, Scandinavia. And I said, hey, would Petter like to come in the Freak Nation? She had no idea who the hell we were.
I don't even know how we got on their press list, but hey, very thankful for it.
She got right back to me, said, name the time. And we've become fast friends over the last 3 years. He's going to join us next hour for a couple of segments. He's going to get back in the car after his buddy, Carlos Sainz, Sr., did so well in the Dakar Rally. He's 60 years old. Carlos Sainz was a badass in World Rally Championships. Won himself several championships. Petter Solberg, of course, a World Rally Champion. He's getting back in the car at 50 years old for the European Rally that's going to be landing in Scandinavia. I always say Scandinavia because there's Netherlands, Holland, Finland, Dutchland.
Huh?
Oh,
Dutchland.
Did you just refer to yourself as smart last segment?
no, I didn't. I was using smart words.
Oh.
Listen, don't ever
What
think.
is Dutchland then? Asking for a friend.
Amsterdam is Amsterdam.
No, don't.
So Petter Solberg will be joining us next hour. Tony Stewart from 2005 as we flash back, as we're about to celebrate our 24th year of Speed Freaks on the Freak Radio Network and, of course, here on MAV TV. IndyCar on NBC. Oh, is it Fox? Is Lee Diffie going to be? Wait, Crasher? What in the holy hellacious is going on with IndyCar and this broadcast partner that they should have had sewn up by the Indy 500?
Exactly. We were told, all of us were fairly excited for the new TV rights deal to be solidified by the 108th running of the Indy 500. It was not. By NASCAR, WWTR, and IndyCar Detroit weekend, the weekend after the Indy 500, a lot of talk came out that, it's pretty much a done deal. But the current deal that is supposed to happen with Fox is awaiting how they can not allow June races for IndyCar to go on Fox Sports 2, FS2. When I heard that, I thought, wait, what? What? Okay, I'm okay with change. I'm not a fan of losing Lee Diffie or James Hinchcliffe or Townsend Bell. I'm really going to be personally bummed with that, but whatever. If that's not my pay grade. If IndyCar does go with Fox, don't put the fan base through relegation of networks like FS2. Please don't. The whole point of this year has been the abysmal Long Beach ratings, the crap that we just went through in Detroit, which some people are actually claiming is a win of 600,000 viewers, but coming off of 5 million plus at the Indy 500. No, it's not a win when you bury it on a network like USA. Guys, we need a partner. IndyCar needs a partner that is 100% network. And if you believe everything you hear, that's what NBC is allegedly guaranteeing to IndyCar.
What legs does IndyCar have to stand on?
That's valid. That's valid. And when
How
I
can
talk
you demand, I'm not going to go on FS2. Well, you were on freaking USA.
That's valid. Okay. And someone that I talked to in April about the whole Fox deal with IndyCar, that person told me, we've made our offer to IndyCar. It's up to them to accept it. And they said, we're not, but at that point, this was April, we're not budging off of the offer that we made them. Well, clearly now here we are, and IndyCar's trying to force some sort of a budge. They don't want FS2, but you have a valid point, Kenny. What legs does IndyCar have to stand on aside from the Indy 500?
Suave, NASCAR can't sit there and go, we're on one network next year or this year.
True.
No.
Correct.
Amazon, NBC, Fox, TNT. Yep. It's going to take some time for people to find these freaking races.
CW for NASCAR Xfinity. Yes, exactly. Here's the thing. I didn't even know Fox Sports 2 still existed. I as far as I know, it only airs like AtlanticCoastConference.com college basketball games. So it's very strange to me that IndyCar and Roger Penske would be that short-sighted. This commentary I've seen all week where he's basically trying to take more money from Fox in the short term as opposed to thinking long-term and putting your product on NBC where you're going to get higher ratings. And guess what? Higher ratings means more money, generally, right?
Bingo!
That's usually how things work. And so, Crash, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but like that's what's happening here is Roger Penske's just trying to get that check right off the bat, sign it, and so he can take the money and run, as opposed to trying to grow a sport and maybe taking a little bit less money, but getting those NBC TV ratings every week. I was looking at the TV ratings here after the post Indy 500. I don't have the latest up-to-date ratings as of this weekend, but after the Indy 500, the total audience was averaging 1.95 million viewers with 5 races on NBC and 1 on USA. That was through the Indy 500. So that's what they're looking at right now, is about that 2 million mark, which is not NASCAR, but it's still better than a lot of these other sports like the NHL, some of the weekly NBA games, right? That's pretty decent. That's kind of their
not
floor.
Better than Formula One.
It is. Formula One only gets $1 million, right?
I was going to say, and what Richie's doing is
I'm
he's
talking
taking
about
a good
the ratings
average
this year.
Yeah, that's
right?
what he's doing. He's taking the average with what they've had. And granted, you're inflated massively because of the eyeballs on the Indy 500. We all get that. But still, you have to understand, if you're going with that average number and if you are able to market that, then Richie has a very valid point. The bottom line, though, if NBC is really saying, we'll give you all network, Richie nailed it when he said, guess what? That automatically guarantees you bigger ratings than an FS2 or a USA Network or wherever you want to bury the series in some races. All networks will guarantee higher ratings. Higher ratings will guarantee more money in the long run. So yes, if it's all about money, Penske, Mark Miles, Penske Entertainment Group, they've got to at least consider that.
That's why granted, NBC is paying out the butt for NBA rights, but Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, probably seeing you can go on NBC Network over TNT during the week and was like, absolutely, give me all those extra eyeballs.
Mm-hmm. Now, if Fox is just going to be where IndyCar goes, if, and that's what we were hearing last weekend, if that does come to fruition, and if it is a money play, they're taking it because of the higher dollars, then can we go back to the NASCAR Charter conversation that we had at the top of this hour? Can that money somehow be filtered back into the team so that everybody can at least benefit in the short term to help growth of the series with deeper pockets everywhere, not just with Penske Entertainment Group?
A lot of this makes so much sense, and we don't pretend to be in the boardrooms of these executives and reporting on what we hear. But outside looking in, as the common man here, things just aren't matching up and making a whole hell of a lot of sense.
They're not.
And you've seen it. Michael Andretti, Meyer Shank Racing, Ray Hall, these team owners.
Zach Brown, McLaren.
Zach Brown, flagrant when it comes to criticizing IndyCar management. If we weren't so passionate about IndyCar, like the vast majority of other shows out there, it'd be NASCAR all the time. But that's one thing we prided ourselves on for almost 24 years is we know that NASCAR is the behemoth. We cover plenty of NASCAR, but there's also millions of IndyCar fans, NHRA fans, Supercross, motocross, we hit it all. But IndyCar has got to find ways to right this freaking ship. We don't even know if they're going to be back at Iowa next year. Shelling out all kinds of money to bring back Zeppelin, the Stones, the Beatles, George Strait, Buck Owens. I don't know. Hell, they're bringing some. I don't know.
Where are you going with that?
I'm just saying it's incredible, the freaking live music that Iowa has for IndyCar for a couple of days. Iowa, for freak's sake. What does Iowa sit? 40,000, Crasher?
Oh, don't make me get. I don't know. I don't know what Iowa sits. It's one of the smaller tracks. It looks good on TV because they fill the seats, and partially because of the music acts. Ed Sheeran last year, for crying out loud.
Buck Owens.
Yeah, Carrie Underwood. You said Buck Owens over Ed Sheeran and Carrie Underwood.
I told you it was 111 degrees in the desert today, man. Freaking brain is fried. Coming up next hour, Freak Nation, we salute an individual that passed away this past week, whose accomplishments still reverberate through the motorsports walls to this day. Also, Petter Solberg, one of the greatest rally drivers ever. He's getting back in the car at 50 years old. We'll tell you what the hell he's doing and the significance of his friend Carlos Sainz. And Tony Stewart from 2005 as we freaking flashback as we're about to celebrate our 24th year of Speed Freaks on the Freak Radio Network. And, of course, right here on MAV TV. More Freaks coming up.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Please hang up and try again.
Live Freak Radio Network, broadcasting from the Lucas Oil Studios. Driven by General Tire. It's Speed Freaks. Motorsports Radio redefined with Kenny Sargent.
We love to party.
Crash Gladys.
What are we doing for the bachelorette party?
And Statman.
I am serious.
Here's the Freaks.
Second hour of Speed Freaks. Thank you guys for being a part of this big old thing. The Freak Radio Network and, of course, MAV TV, YouTube, Facebook Live. You cannot escape the Freak Nation. Freak Nation. Coming up this hour, one of the greatest rally drivers ever, Petter Solberg. He's getting back in a car at 50 years old, and we'll tell you what it's for and the connection with Carlos Sainz, the old man Carlos Sainz, 60-year-old Carlos Sainz. We're about to turn 24 years old. Speed Freaks.
Speaking of old.
Yep. 24 years old, Freak Nation. Coming up June 25th. And to celebrate this, we're going to flash back with an interview from 2005 with Tony Stewart from Sedalia, Missouri, as he was about to hop into a 410 sprint car. And Tony Stewart in 2005, you're going to look at this guy and go, holy smokes. We thought, since he's been in the news recently, let's bring back a Tony Stewart interview. That, and in this interview with him, we're talking about NBC and Fox.
Interesting.
Which networks do you prefer coverage for your NASCAR? So it's a
who knew? Fast forward 15 some odd years that we'd be talking about who do you prefer for IndyCar.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have a freaking flashback with Tony Stewart. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Official Speed Freaks. The website, speedfreaks.tv. We lost a monster in motorsports this past week, Crasher. And Parnelli Jones just crossed generations with his success in motorsports, in anything, sprint car, stock car, off-road, IndyCar, Indy 500 winner, two-time winner as a team owner with Al Unser. You got a guy like Rico Abreu, who was really affected. Rico Abreu, a younger driver in the High Limit World of Outlaw series that spent some time on social media reflecting on the loss of Parnelli Jones, Crasher.
J.R. Hildebrand, I thought he had an amazing tribute as well on social media, talking about how his phone, you cannot find more pictures on his phone, aside from his wife and kids, than you would of Parnelli Jones. I mean, so many people respected Parnelli Jones because of who he was and what he represented in motorsports. The guy that works incredibly hard, but is witty, talented in the brain as well. And he exemplified everything that we love about somebody in motorsports, in sports in general. And then to boot, amazing person, just his heart, his everything, conversationalist, just everything Parnelli Jones did was, you just felt comfortable around him. You felt respected. You felt comfortable. You felt like he paid attention to you. Meanwhile, he's the guy that we should be paying more attention to him. He was an amazing person. And he was a big loss to the motorsports
Now,
world.
Crasher, you've actually partied with his son before, PJ Jones.
Yes.
Right? And
Lake
the youngsters,
Havasu.
right?
Yes, at Lake Havasu, the Jet Ski World Finals in the mid-90s. Yeah, there's definitely been some fun times had. And to be honest, I've had some conversations with Parnelli that were non-racing that have been pretty fun as well. He and I shared love for the Denver Broncos, and his enthusiasm when they won the Super Bowl in 2016 was childlike fun. It was just, wow. He's just, again, he was a person just like anybody else who had passions of his own. And then where he fully excelled is where we all watching and participating in the show, where we all really grew to appreciate him.
You can't tell me, Richie, when you were reading his bio, Parnelli Jones, that about every other sentence you're going, sounds like Kyle Larson. Sounds like Kyle Larson. Sounds like Kyle Larson.
Or Tony Stewart. Or
Parnelli Jones, you put him in anything. Suave.
That's the thing that I saw on social media this week, is someone who didn't really know much about him prior to the news of his passing, is that how many people from different types of racing and motorsports had some sort of story about Parnelli Jones. And that was the thing that stuck out to me, is his impact across so many different types was really cool. And it shows how much he meant to the motorsports world across the world. And that was really cool to see how many different walks of people were affected by his passing.
Yeah, you're right. From Formula One all around the world to dirt track stars here in America. You're right. Everywhere in the world, people were affected by Parnelli Jones.
We've had the pleasure of interviewing these legends. Mario Andretti's been in here numerous times. Al Unser Sr., Bobby Unser, AJ Foyt,
Dan Gurney,
Parnelli Jones, Carroll Shelby, Jack Roush. And it reminds me of when I was 15 and a buddy of mine down the street waited in line and got Zeppelin tickets and asked me if I wanted to go. There was a riot for those tickets where there was windows broken and people busted into Dallas Convention Center. So Mom and Dad didn't like that. And Mom and Dad would not let me go see Led Zeppelin. Listen, I had a fantastic life. My parents, I owe everything to those two individuals. But my point is this. When you get a chance to meet or talk or see these people, go out of your way to just say thank you, or just what a pleasure it is to meet you. You're not walking up to Ross Chastain or David Gilliland or Todd Gilliland. You're walking up to legends whose place in motorsports is significant to every freaking driver on the planet right now, male, female. So when you see a Mario Andretti, a John Force, guys like this that mean so much to a sport that we love and crave every weekend, weeknights, Highly Met Racing. Say thanks to these individuals. Shirley Muldowney, Lynn St. James, those individuals that really set the bar for motorsport stars.
If we're going to take it, though, to a Parnelli Jones level, I'm going to go back on what you just said and say, yeah, you still thank the Todd Gillilands and the Ross Chastains, because that's where Parnelli Jones started. Mm-hmm. And somebody thanked him back then. Somebody trusted his intelligence and his stick-to-itiveness back then, and look what he became. Anybody can become anything in sports, business, you name it. So yeah, the thanks and the appreciation start at the beginning. But yes, I get exactly what you're saying. These legends that we still have in and amongst us right now, absolutely. If John Force is going to retire at the end of this year, Mario Andretti over at the Indy 500 this past month, it was cool seeing so many people on social media and in person giving him the respect that he's due. You see it with Richard Petty. So yeah, do it for the big guys, but do it for everyone, because they're all giving us the sport that we love.
Parnelli Jones, again, passed away this past week, and it's fitting that we spend 8-9 minutes talking about Parnelli Jones. Parnelli Jones also, he ran the Pikes Peak Hill Climb, right, Crasher?
I believe he did. I knew him more with off-road, as in like Baja in the Score series, but I believe he did the hill climb.
Right. I should look that up before.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might want to look.
Sorry about that. Before I threw that out there. My point was, you put the guy in anything, and he'll. Will you look it up before?
I'm not seeing it.
It says here that legendary vehicle built on Mercury USAC star for Jones. Jones won the 1963 Peak International Hill Climb.
The same year he won the Indy 500?
What? That's what it says. That's what it says right here on the Wikipedia, if it's correct.
You know who would have a good time with this? It would be Statman, and I understand he's on some PTO right now with his family in California.
Huge Parnelli fan.
Yeah.
Huge. Rufus Parnelli Jones. Absolutely. Yep.
So we salute you, Parnelli Jones. Real quick, Crasher. Oh, gosh, we don't have a lot of time to do this, but and I won't do it. because we only got about a minute and a half to talk. With not so good news coming out of IndyCar with McLaren disassociating with Juncos Motorsports.
It was just good to put that behind us with Elkhart Lake this weekend. Let's just put it that way.
You got about a
minute.
Be careful.
Just be careful on social media, people. It is so easy to just let your fingers fire off and say things that just roll off the top of your head without realizing who you're hurting. But if you even go to the point of going to direct messages where you are intentionally trying to hurt them a little bit more because you know you're not going to be publicly seen.
Tell people what you're talking about.
I'm talking about alleged Argentina fans of Agustin Canapino, IndyCar driver for Juncos Hollander, giving death threats to Teo Porcher, Arrow McLaren driver, after an incident halfway through the Detroit Grand Prix race. And these threats went on Monday, Tuesday. Come on, people. Be better. Be better. Be careful with what you say in public. But really, if you're going to open up a direct message, don't be that stupid to make a death threat and think that you're all cool because of it.
Freak Nation, some positivity coming in your way right now.
Thank you.
Petter Solberg, one of the greatest rally drivers out there, retired many years ago, but he's getting back in the car at 50 years old for the European. I want to give it away. Almost did. It's a hell of a tease. He's getting back in the car for a pretty big time rally that's coming to Scandinavia. He joins us next. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios right here on the Freak Radio Network and on MAV TV.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined. You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Freak Nation, Petter Solberg, 2003 World Rally Champion, will be joining us in moments. But first, go to lucasoil.com. That's lucasoil.com to check out a line of products. Keep your 2 wheels, your 4 wheels, your speedboat, all fat and happy. Go to lucasoil.com. 2003 World Rally Champion, Petter Solberg, joins us for a 2-parter. He's set for a rally comeback in the European Rally Championship. The Royal Rally of Scandinavia is coming up. Back in a car at 50 years old, thanks to his friend, Carlos Sainz. Petter Solberg, now Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios. Freak Nation, it's good to get Petter Solberg back in the Freak Nation. Last time we had him in the Lucas Oil Studios, it was him and his son, Oliver. But this time, the dude who we thought had hung up
so beautiful is difficult. But anyway.
Yeah, true. We thought he was going to retire, but then we see that he's taking his mom on rallies and that people are wanting him to go do this and do that. And then we see the press release about the European rally, and now he's back in a car. And if Carlos Sainz didn't do so well at the Dakar rally, would you be back in the European rally?
Not at all.
What?
But Carlos Sainz, it was a little bit inspiration, to be honest with you. I got, when he's over 60, and of course I follow Oliver now all the time, and Pernilla is the president in the Drivers' Commission in FIA. So I feel like I'm alone now. So I really need, now it's my turn to be a little bit more egoistic again, like early days. And I'm 50 this year, so why not?
Because I was curious, again, the last time we talked to you, it sounded like you were hanging up your rally shoes, but lo and behold, I guess that and the fact that this rally is there in Scandinavia, it's close to home, so why not get back in a race car and see what you can do as a 50-year-old, right?
Honestly, I'm nervous like hell, and butterflies, and I did my last rally for 5 years ago, and I don't know what to say, to be honest with you. It's going to be a massive competition, and of course, it's not out yet, but Oliver is also going to do it. So for sure, it will be hard competition. But I will do my best. I'm very excited, to be honest with you.
Multi-time champion, World Rally Champion Petter Solberg joining Speed Freaks, and you mentioned Carlos Sainz. I got to go back to this and how he is still racing at the highest levels, and that's inspiration for you. Is it inspiration for you from afar? Or you guys were teammates at one point. Do you continue to talk to him and talk about keeping your careers alive and extremely healthy?
Well, I talked to him after his victory in Dakar, and he was actually very impressive. But of course, when we were teammates, I was very young and he was up and coming, already. And yeah, for sure, if he can still do it, why can't I? And maybe Dakar is the future for me, basically. But to go into the World Championship, for example, in rallying, you need drive a lot. I mean, all the time. So it's maybe more the endurance part in Dakar that maybe looking more interesting for me, to be honest with you.
Well, that leads me directly into how do you keep yourself fit and ready to go? Because you're right. You can't necessarily drive all these streets all the time. And your memory bank has some of these streets with snowbanks on them. That's not going to happen in June. So how do you keep yourself mentally and physically prepared for these grueling races?
First of all, my computer brain it's already full, to be honest with you. And keeping fit, I look, my body is beautiful. You know, my wife say I look beautiful. My mother say I'm looking beautiful. So, but obviously it doesn't help. So I need to train quite much more now and get ready. Yeah, of course I need to. Before early days, I had 6.3 in fat percent. I was looking really fit. I'm not the same now, but I will do better before the race.
Do you train with your son? Do you train with Oliver?
I don't have a chance against him anymore. You know, he's running, far too fast.
Oh, wow. So he's doing like marathon type runs and you're just in the weight room going, okay, I'll pick up what I can.
No, no, I don't lift any weights. You know, I'm focusing on running and endurance, to be honest with you, but always running fast and long at the same time, so, but I must say, keeping a gentle training fitness, it's good for me.
Petter Solberg, World Rally Champion, Rally Cross Champion. You mentioned your wife and your mom talked about how good you were. You didn't mention Oliver. Is Oliver telling you, Dad, can't do it that way? What are you doing out here anyway?
No, he say, "Oh, Daddy, you have to train. You are fat." He's more honest. He's more direct, like me. And but I trust him more because it's so direct.
Wait, so that a popular line here in American sitcoms is the dad says, "I brought you in this world. I'll take you out. You can't talk to me that way." Is that you? Do you and Oliver have those kinds of conversations?
Hey, I like people who is honest, and I know he's honest. So that's much better. Your mother will always say that everything is perfect and good. So, and it's also nice to hear that way. But it doesn't matter. We are getting ready and fit for the rally. That's the main thing, and we will test for 2 days next weekend, and we will have a lot of things. A lot of people coming. Monster have a lot of people on the test from Europe, Castrol, and some other partners. So it will be a lot of activity, and we also get the Monster Girls on the race, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
So the natural question is, you taught him everything he knows, but are there some things that maybe you kept back so that the old man can walk down the hill and win it all?
Yeah. He did this rally last year in the car I'm going to drive, and he won the race. And I took the car to dyno because now when I'm going to drive, I will do it, the car 110%. So I have maybe 17 horsepower more than him last year. So it is like it is. It's my car, chassis number 1 Polo. It's been in the museum, and when I'm driving, it's always a step up on the details.
Freak Nation, Petter Solberg, 2003 World Rally Champion, of course, Rallycross Champion, joining us here in the Freak Nation, getting set for European Rallycross right there in his backyard there in Scandinavia. You talk about your age, and age was a thing 20, 30 years ago. I'm older than you. I don't feel my age. Certainly don't act my age. You don't act your age. What's wrong with a 50-year-old? What's wrong with a 50-year-old getting in there and kicking some ass?
I like your attitude, man. You are my dude. I fully agree with you. In my brain and body, it feels like 20, to be honest with you. And you're absolutely right. The only thing with rallying, if it was on a rallycross track, it would be easy. Rallying, to listen to the co-driver again and trust him properly with the pace notes and go flat out, it's always a little bit different. So hill climb will also be okay, but in rallying and listen to the co-driver and be flat out to trust him, this is the key. The driving is also okay, but to trust the co-driver again, it's going to be difficult,
No, I'm stopping you there because last year your mom was supposed to read pace notes and apparently she didn't. If I read that correctly, you just talked about your computer mind. You've got it all right here. It doesn't matter what the pace notes are.
Well, yeah, you are right. My mother didn't say anything. We jumped 60 meters and I told her, oh, mother, how did you feel when he landed? Did we jump? So for sure, yeah, it's for sure different. But to be on the limit and the level, to you really need to be everything correct. It's maybe 2-3 drivers in the whole world who's not there on the race. So of the good ones. So and I think it will be 30 cars in the class. So it will be tough, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but aiming for podium and champagne is always the thing anyway. I love champagne, so it will be fantastic.
I love champagne.
You remind me of something. That's true. Getting back in the car can be riding a bike, but trusting that other person to your right, left, wherever the hell we are in the world, to give you the proper notes and where to turn, what's coming up. Is that something that takes time to get back into the swing of things, to really feel comfortable with your co-pilot?
For sure. I have a very good co-driver with me. So he's in the World Championship and it's professional, very good. So it basically is nothing with him to do. It's just for me to break that code again. Hopefully that will happen on the test, that we can get into this mood. So we will see. But again, the co-driver, I have it's very good. So I just hope I can get into the rhythm very quickly.
Of course, there's a part 2 with Petter Solberg. That's next. SpeedFreaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined. You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
You're back with the Freaks, Freak Radio Network, and of course on MAV TV. We resume our conversation with your 2003 World Rally Champion, Petter Solberg, who's running in the European Rally Championship Scandinavia race. Coming up, it's Petter Solberg right now, Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
I'd read in the notes that you possibly could be driving the first R5 from Volkswagen. That's an historic car. Are you going to be driving it hard like you normally would? And you don't want that car wrapped around a tree, do you?
No, not at all. But I will not treat it with care. I will for sure go flat out. And apart and building cars again is no problem. I have a workshop here, and and the rallycross car I have down here, the World Championship winning car, was built in this workshop. So we fix everything. It doesn't matter. But it's not the plan at all to destroy it. It's more about abuse it a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Hey, Petter, I know you did this before we went live, but can you give us a quick tour of your shop and your trophies one more time so we can show the Freak Nation?
Yeah, it's. I don't have the museum here now, but we have. My office, as you see.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's my rallycross winning car, World Championship twice.
Oh man.
Yeah, and here you have a lot of stories. We have some pictures with Martini over there with Colin McRae, the Subaru World Championship, and the winning team in rallycross. And there you see me, Loeb, Tommy Meckin on the podium.
Wow.
Then we have some trophy. We have a bar, bar we have to have,
I mean, duh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's Oliver's cross cart from his first Norwegian Swedish championship.
Oh, wow.
That's the trophies me and my wife won in historic race in Swedish Rally 2019, I think. Yeah. Now, of
Look
course,
at
a
that
lot
podium.
of Gymkhana grid with Ken Block trophies from his Gymkhana grid.
Oh, wow.
Holy smokes.
And here we have the World Championship. This is my first winning in full silver in the World Championship. And here are the other World Championship trophies in some silver, gold, bronze. I don't like, to be honest with you, but I have to keep it.
I have to keep
and then, yeah, I will show you one more thing. Okay,
Yes.
Here you have my helmet. I have every helmet and overall since my first race. It's going to be a little bit darker. But since I have you there, I will show you. But I have every overall since I did my first race when I was 18.
Oh, my.
Does the first one?
That's the
still
one
fit?
together with Carlos Sainz and
Oh, with Carlos
my
Sainz,
first
yeah.
factory drive before.
Wait a minute, Petter. Does the first one still fit? Can you still get in to that 18-year-old uniform?
Hey, you can always get into it, but if you get out of it, it's the problem.
Oh, that is awesome.
That is way
I think we struggle, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Look at those suits, man.
I don't want to answer it, it's stupid. But anyway,
Yeah.
I hear it's the trophies me and Oliver when we won the Nations Cup in the Race of Champions.
That looks awesome. Holy smokes.
And the surfboards.
There they are. Hey, Petter, you brought up the name Ken Block.
Anyway, any other questions?
Yeah, one last question. You brought up the name Ken Block and the loss of Ken Block, and really it took all of us by surprise. And looking at what his daughter's doing to work her way into Formula One, can you give a perspective outside of America what Ken Block meant to you and to rally and to motorsports in general?
Ken Block have been a lot in the workshop here when he was driving rallying up in Sweden here, and that was the first time Oliver met him. And Ken was also Oliver's first sponsor with DC shoes. It's actually on the cross cart over there.
Wow.
And Oliver was also in the Gymkhana 10, I think, with Ken driving on the ice with the Ford Focus. I think it was. But the thing is, I try to tell everyone, for marketing and PR and things, the Americans are the best. And Ken Block was, for our sport, he was like the best example for how to do things and do it properly on the marketing side. And for sure, we went, good friends over the years and fantastic family. So it was tough for all of us, when this happened. So, but you have given a big footprint for sure in America, but also here in Europe, a big footprint for what you have done, to be honest with you.
Well, Petter, it's always fantastic when you're rolling the Freak Nation, buddy. It's thank you for taking time out to join us here in the States. Man, good luck to you. Don't worry about your damn age and go out there and kick some ass as a 50-year-old, all right?
You are my hero now. I like you. It's exactly how it's going to be. So I just have to get into the mood and I will kick some ass. That's for sure.
Attaboy. All right, Petter. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you very much, everyone. Nice to talk to you again, all of you.
Love that guy, Petter Solberg, here in the Freak Nation, giving us a run through his shop and his insight to the time he spent with Ken Block is pretty freaking special. Petter Solberg, again, the European Rally Championships, Scandinavia, June 13th through the 15th, coming up next weekend. Crasher, one of the things I learned from that interview with Petter Solberg is he's 50 years old, but the passion still sings. And again, thanks to his friend, Carlos Sainz, with the success that he had at Dakar.
Okay, we started this hour talking about the passing of legend Parnelli Jones, and that sort of led into a passion conversation. You can't be an enormous success without incredible amounts of passion for this sport of motorsports. The names you listed, Kenny, were exactly that. From Mario Andretti to Richard Petty to Kyle Larson. Passion is what, here we go, drives these drivers into being better than what they could ever even anticipate themselves to be. Sitting in all forms of motorsport seats, from dirt to asphalt to snow to rocks and quarries. This passion is what makes these guys as good as they are. So yeah, Petter is still doing it because of his passion.
Listen, Petter Solberg, 50 years old. 50 is not
50
old.
And fit.
It's not old. John Force rattles a 12,000 horsepower funny car week in, week out, and wins. What is he? 72, 3, 4, 5? What is he?
75. He just celebrated his 75.
No, he's not 75 yet. Can't be 75 yet.
I think that's okay. You're going to make us look something else up.
Richie, look it up, man. But again, Petter Solberg, just a relationship that started up
75.
Boom.
75 is not old. Petter Solberg, a relationship that started up with an email. And his PR person, sure, this is 3 years ago, man. Anytime we want him in, again, one of the most.
Do you remember how difficult it was when we started? So we're talking the year 2000, 2001, 2000, all the way up to 2010 even. How difficult it was to get Formula One drivers to call into the show because you have all these dang international codes and the cost that it's going to be. One of the benefits of COVID was all of this stuff going online and these StreamYard and Zoom apps. Now we can talk to everybody around the world. It's made doing shows like this a heck of a lot easier.
Suave, here's one for you. We got about a minute. Back in the early 2000s, again, freshly into Speed Freaks, I had to give phone card numbers to people that do you have a phone card we can use to call long distance?
That's right. Yeah. Because that was even before long distance wasn't a big deal on your cell phone. It was a huge deal. So you'd have to get into a hotel room to be able to call because cell phones also didn't have great service. So the landlines in your hotel rooms were great, but you could only call out with a phone card.
Analog, baby. All right, man, coming up June 25th this year, we will be 24 years old, celebrating our 24th anniversary. This week, next week, and the following week, we're going to go back, way back in the Freak Nation Wayback Machine and share some old interviews. This one, Sedalia, Missouri with Smoke. Tony Stewart from 2005, just before he's about to hop into a 410 sprint car. Go to Flashback with Tony Stewart next. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios right here on MAV TV.
So physical and so fast.
Tony, you're not saying 500 laps at Daytona. You're saying 500 laps at Bristol because that's not an easy track for you guys.
Crash, you could drive 500 laps at Daytona. Daytona's not hard at all, but 500 laps at Bristol is probably one of the tougher ones that we have. 400 laps at Dover, it's pretty physically tough.
But you weren't saying that 3 years ago when your motor went out right at the first lap or whatever it was, the third lap.
Yeah, I didn't even have time to break a sweat.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined. You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Freak Nation, go to General Tire, generaltire.com to check out a line of tires to keep your hot rod fresh and happy on these summer roads this summer. Go to generaltire.com. That's generaltire.com. I don't care what you got, man. Got yourself a F-250? What about a Dodge Charger? 1999 version. They got the tire for you. You go to generaltire.com. Coming up June 25th, we'll be celebrating Speed Freaks' 24th anniversary. So we're going to flash back now, next week, and the following week with some interviews that we've done over the last couple of decades. This one we're going back to 2004 with Tony Stewart, Sedalia, Missouri, for a celebrity late model race and a 410 sprint car race that went off that Saturday night, going back to July of 2005, where Smoke joined us on the set when we were on Speed Channel. Tony Stewart from 2005 joins us now. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Would you please welcome here in the Speed Freaks Pits a freak fave. He's going to be the fifth freak for the next 30 minutes, Tony Stewart. Welcome, TS.
Thanks, guys.
We had to get you out of bed a little early, and it's about we had to get you out of bed a little early to come in here today, didn't we?
Yeah, get me up on my day off here. I mean, come on, why you got to do this to me? And then you bring me out here in sweltering heat. It's about 140 degrees out here already. You'd think I'd be used to this.
Look, Freak Nation can change a lot of things, but when you're dealing with the cat upstairs, we can't do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we'll just
deal NASCAR can deal with the guy upstairs better than we can.
Yeah, they got him paid off, though.
They're the only ones that can afford to.
Yeah. Our debate tonight, NBC versus Fox when it comes to NASCAR coverage. Email us, pitcrew@speedfreaks.tv. Tell us who you would rather see cover NASCAR, NBC or Fox. Tony Stewart, do you want to get involved in this at all?
No. I'm not a politician, and I don't want to get in the middle of it. I think both of them do a good job with our sport. Sometimes I think the commentators kind of lose track of reality a little bit, but for the most part, I think the networks do a pretty good job of covering the sport.
Yeah, they always say defensive backs in the NFL have to have a short memory because, you get burned, then the next time you make an interception. For you got to have the shortest memory because some guys do talk too much.
Yeah, they crush you one week, and then they want to be your best friend the next week. So it's amazing how sometimes their memory is normally shorter than their little finger.
What's gonna happen when you retire and you want to go in the broadcast booth? Are you going to remember some of these things you're saying about some of them?
No, because by then if I've already got up in the booth, that means they got kicked out of the booth. So by then I think the story will have already been told. But now I got a long way to go before I got to worry about getting out from behind the steering wheel right now.
Let's talk about World of Outlaws, sprint cars, of course, Nextel Cup, and you're running some Busch this year. These World of Outlaw guys, every one of these cats that have rolled up on our show, whether it's radio or TV, the first thing I always notice are these big-ass forearms. That's insane.
Yeah, kind of like these, right?
No.
Yeah, I know.
No, nothing like that.
Because I'm driving a stock car with power steering and a big steering wheel, so.
Is that something that just comes with the territory? I mean, granted, Lazowski's about 4'2", but his freaking...
Standing on high heels, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just insane how these guys' forearms are.
Yeah, I mean, these races, World Outlaw race that'll be happening here tonight will be 30 laps. But I guarantee you it's tougher running 30 laps here physically than it is to run 500 laps at Bristol in a stock car because of the power steering. And they still have power steering in these cars, but you're just so busy and it's so physical and so fast
Tony, you're not saying
you're
500
busy.
laps at Daytona. You're saying 500 laps at Bristol because that's not an easy track for you guys.
Crash, you could drive 500 laps at Daytona. Daytona's not hard at all, but 500 laps at Bristol is probably one of the tougher ones that we have. 400 laps at Dover, it's pretty physically tough.
But you weren't saying that 3 years ago when your motor went out right at the first lap or whatever it was, the third lap.
Yeah, I didn't even have time to break a sweat. That's how easy that was. It didn't last but about 50 seconds, I think, was my Daytona 500. But, it's a lot tougher just to run 30 laps here. And a 30-lap race if it goes green, green to checkered, it will be probably 8-9 minute race if it went straight through. But that 8 or 9 minutes is a very intense physical workout for that 8 or 9 minute period.
Tony Stewart, if you were not a driver, I mean, let's be honest, man, everybody has the job they really wanted. We didn't get, like me and Stat, we're still waiting to get our ultimate job. But if you weren't a driver, what the hell else would Tony Stewart do for a gig?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, you got to remember, I started racing go-karts when I was 8 years old. I've been racing 26 years, so my whole life's been consumed around racing. But I guess if I had to say, okay, today I'm going to stop racing, what am I going to do? I'd have to be involved somehow in the racing industry, whether it's be an owner of a race team like Daniel Lasowski's World Outlaw team, and or be a track owner like I am with Eldora Speedway. So I got a couple things I could do if I wasn't a race car driver, but I guess it's kind of my way of giving back with Danny, being an owner in the Outlaw Series and the track ownership side of it. That's just something for me down the road that if I can't drive a race car anymore, or I decide I don't want to be a race car driver anymore, I've got something to do when I retire from racing that way.
Your sponsors have to believe in what you're doing, regardless of what you say or what you may do negative on the track. To some people, someone's believing in Tony Stewart in order to fork up these scoots to be doing, to be on the side of your cars.
Absolutely, and trust me, they don't always like what I say,
right.
But it's not so much what I say, it's the message behind it. I mean, they know that I stand behind what I say 100%. I don't say it unless I believe it, and sometimes I say the wrong things and sometimes I do the wrong things, but they know that the passion behind it or whatever the method or madness was behind it, that it was an honest reaction. It wasn't something that was fabricated, and they've always been very proud of me for speaking my mind, even though sometimes it does get me in trouble.
See, the fans know that stuff too. They know, they can see right through it when drivers are just doing the corporate line, and it's not fun to watch.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I read in a paper, that your merchandise sales were yours are the most successful right now in NASCAR, if I read that correctly. So that's something you really got to be proud of.
I'm not sure we're the top one in NASCAR, but I know that overall sales of NASCAR sales have gone down a little bit, but we were the only driver of the major drivers that sales haven't gone down. So it's like ours is pretty much going up in all reality.
You've actually exceeded Derek Cope's sales?
just barely got over top of him this year, so I was pretty stoked about
And
that.
what you were saying the other day was that you don't even let people put insignias on your uniform unless you like the product. So you're not just taking the money from anybody. You got to believe in it, and the fans appreciate that from you.
Yeah, there's of all the sponsors we've ever had. I mean, that's one thing that I've told everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing is that, you know, whatever's going to be on our uniforms, I want to know what it is. I want to be a part of it. And I want to believe in it before I have to talk about it and say that I like it. So
have you ever turned anybody down?
We haven't had to yet. We've had some that were marginal, but we've never had to turn anybody away as of yet.
Plus, Tony, you never have a press conference to say, see what a nice guy I am, see what charities I'm involved with. You just go about your business, let people say what they have to say. But we'll say it, man. You're a damn good guy, man. You do so many good things for so many people, and the people that don't know you and don't understand that can pretty much just kiss my ass.
Right, and that's kind of the way we look at it too in all reality, I guess, without us saying it. I mean, you can say it for me, but you know, the thing is, you could do 1,000 great things, but if somebody doesn't like you, you can do 1,050 great things, and they're still not going to like you. So, you know, we do what we do. I do, you know, the charity stuff we do. I do it because I want to do it, not because somebody else wants me to do it. I do it because I believe in it and because it feels like the right thing to do. The rest of it, I mean, you know, talk's cheap. I mean, I've seen people stand 5 feet away from me through a fence and will talk trash to me, but then as soon as I'm on the other side of the fence with them, they get real nice all of a sudden. It's like you don't even have the guts to stand up behind what you're saying. So I've kind of come to the conclusion when I go home at night, as long as the people that I'm around, my family and my friends and the people that I'm around every day, you know, as long as they believe in me, I really don't care what everybody else says. I'm going to do it my way, not the way everybody wants me to do it.
Oh, we all looked a little bit younger and several freaking hairstyles later. I mean, yours truly, Smoke. Holy smokes. 2005, Sedalia, Missouri. We were taping some shows for Mopar at the time, for Speed Channel, and Tony Stewart joined us on the stage there.
Steve
Kinzer.
Kinzer. Dave Marcus.
Dave Marcus did. Danny Lazowski. Gary Selzy. Ron Capps, I think, was there.
Right. Doug Coletta?
Yes, Doug Coletta was there. We're celebrating our 24th anniversary, June 25th of this year, so we're flashing back with some old interviews. Those are some of our most popular interviews on our YouTube page at Official Speed Freaks. You can go back and see some of these old interviews that we've done.
They look weird and they sound weird.
Yes,
all
they
of
do.
our voices were really high back then.
Yes.
I don't understand that.
So, yeah, again, Statman, the show off, a little bit of POT out in Southern California, enjoying some time with his family. We missed you, Statman.
PTO, not
What'd I say?
POT.
Personal off time.
Doing some pot.
I'm glad you guys are here, man, because laugh tracks.
Desert, 111 degrees. Get us out of here already.
We'll watch this right now. 100 real feel, 113. There we go.
It's a dry heat, folks.
Happy summer.
It's a dry heat.
Oh, yeah.
Doing some pot out in California.
Doing some pot. If you missed in this show, go to our YouTube page at Official Speed Freaks, and you can catch it all. Denny Hamlin was in here, Corey Heim, Petter Solberg, Smoke from 19 years ago was in here.
Wow.
Man.
And we talked pot.
No, we didn't. We talked personal time off or paid time off.
PTO.
Yeah. All right, Freak Nation. Thank you guys for being a part of this big old thing. We'll do it again next week. Again, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're there for you. And, of course, our website, speedfreaks.tv. Who wants to shoot the juice this time?
Hey, let's do it, Richie. 3, 2, 1.
Cut
it loose.
Shoot the juice to the moose and
cut it loose.
See ya.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.